So welcome everybody to today's interview, CESI Talks. The CESI Talks is a series of events, interviews, as I said, within the frame of a larger project which aims at sensitizing both citizens but also our workers we represent for the upcoming European elections 2024. And we're trying, it's not always successful, but we're trying to be very honest in our opinions on the European Union, on the flaws, but also on the benefits. And today I'm extremely pleased to welcome Javi López, member of the European Parliament, S&D Group from Spain, chair of the delegation to the Euro-Latin American Parliamentary Assembly, and among others, member of the Committee on the Environment, Public Health and Food Safety, and of the Subcommittee on Security and Defense, a very hot topic at that moment. Mr. López, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's speak about democracy and the EU elections in 2024. We've heard in the past for many years, if not to say decades, that the EU should be closer to its citizens, it should be more democratic. Do you think this is realistic, or what should be the concrete steps to go into that direction? And we came across also because you're chairman of the delegation to the Euro-Latin American Parliamentary Assembly, of a report on a motion for resolution on the storming of the Brazilian democratic institutions. What is the role of the European Union here when it comes to maybe standing firmly for democracy, the rule of law in the entire world?
Well, first of all, Europe has to try to be closer to the citizens, to their daily lives. This is one of the main challenges that always Europe has. Europe that protects, that is connected to the daily concerns to our citizens. This is something that we have to do, and how to show and be visible in their concerns. But my general approach to the next elections about this, it will be if we were efficient or not during the last 5 years as European institutions to help their problems. And to be honest, when I arrived to the European Parliament in 2014, and now I think the situation changed. Europe changed the last 5 years. Probably silence, but an important socioeconomic change and approach. What we saw during the last 5 years, we saw Europe pushing to a big transformation in the green agenda, leading in the world with the European Green Deal, something that it's not easy because we have to ensure a fair ecological transition that includes jobs and the social dimension, but we are moving ahead in this dimension. Second, we had during this mandate probably the most traumatic and the biggest health crisis in 1 century with COVID-19 and the pandemic. And the answer was the right answer. Unprecedented package of investment, an approach that was completely different to the 2008 financial crisis, investing, creating common debt. That is how the political communities bet together for their future, and also having a most friendly approach with fiscal rules and economic framework. It was a huge change, and also helping with the vaccination process. And third, we are seeing also Europe being satisfactory with our answer to the invasion in Ukraine, with the military assistance, with unity, with sanctions to Russia, pushing and reactivating our policy of enlargement, refugees, with the activation of the temporary protection directive, and also disconnecting ourselves from the fossil fuels from Russia and accelerating renewals and clean energy. This is something that we saw, like in general terms, I would say like for a lot of citizens in 2014, Europe was in the box of problems, and now Europe is becoming more in the box of solutions. And this is like the main goal that Europe has to have, like deliver, protecting, helping. And another thing that we do as European institutions is to play a global role, geopolitical role in a scenario of great powers competition, with more ugly attitudes from the great powers, where we have to defend our interest, but at the same time our values, and especially defend democracy in the world. The last years we saw a democratic recession in the world. Bolsonaro in Brazil was one of the examples, but not only. Trump in USA, and this kind of authoritarian, demoscopic attitudes, something that we see also inside the EU in some member states, and we have to raise our voice in the world to defend human rights and also democratic procedures. This is something that we do, and we participate as parliamentarians, in a lot of mission of observation, electoral observation missions, and our resolutions about human rights and democracy matters in the world, and this is something that we do and has real add value.
Mr. Lopez, you're also a member of the ENVI committee, which deals with public health. When we speak of environment, when we speak of the green transition, of the Green Deal and health policies, how would you say, should these policies go hand in hand? And if so, why?
Something that we learned with COVID is in the EU, we don't do enough health policies, and we don't have enough health tools. Our healthcare systems are national, and they have to be national because public services are managed by national or regional authorities, but we need more tools to coordinate our health policies. And something that has to be done with the social pillar, that this is one of the main challenge that we have as a European Union, like build a pillar that creates standards for labor rights, for public services, for health, for education, for that ensures and guarantees social cohesion, should develop enough tools like this health union, that it's one of the ideas that we saw after COVID-19 and after the lessons that we had during COVID-19, a health union that coordinate standards, coordinate health crisis with European and communitary institutions. This is something that we have to do, and also we have a lot of legislation regarding environment that are linked with health. For example, pollution. Pollution is the biggest environmental threat for the human health. Air quality, but not only, water, industrial emissions, and we are now legislating a lot about this. We have to ensure that pollution is regulated, decrease the next years, and it's not direct health policies, but has a huge impact in our public health.
Mr. Lopez, you also mentioned that of the CESI subcommittee on security and defense, of course, since the Russian war of aggression, let's say European defense policies in the largest term are in the center, let's say, of policymakers, both here in Europe, but also beyond. What should happen now? Where do you think, if we speak of the creation of the genuine, as we always say, European Defence Union, or let's say strengthen the European pillar within NATO, what should happen now, and how does the war in Ukraine affect basically the EU defence strategy?
Well, the invasion of Ukraine was a an awake and a strategic awake for Europe. No, what is happening now for Europe is we are growing our strategic thinking and also learning, probably learning with the worst lesson that it's the war, a war that it's again in European soil, with the worst kind of war that you can imagine, that it's basically conquer war in Europe. And when we created the European integration, one of the main goals it was we will not paint again borders by the force. And this is what Russia is trying to do with Ukraine. And we have to adapt to this international environment, an environment that has a lot of geopolitical competition, where security matters, where the threats increased and the challenge increased, and then we have to reinforce our defense and security framework. Probably pandemic was a channel to economic integration, and we made the more important jump since the creation of the euro with the next generation EU, but especially with the European debt behind this. And the war in Ukraine will be a channel to the integration in security and defense policy, with two big pillars and that you mentioned. First, transatlantic relations, especially NATO, that is living a new purpose. And this is something that we have to recognize, and how important NATO is and our transatlantic relation is for our security. But secondly, building our own strategic autonomy, that it is one of the main challenges that Europe has. Because the best partner is a strong partner that is able to take their decisions, and it's able with their capabilities to defend themselves, especially in the world, with our own position in the big discussions in the table, and then reduce dependencies, all kinds of dependencies, and this means dependencies in a strategic trade, in strategic technology, energy, but also security and defense.
Lopez, final question. You said you have been a member of European Parliament now for the second term. Also, the European elections are coming up 2024. What, if you step back and have a look also at this extremely challenging last period, but also, as you mentioned, many initiatives have been taken, also to my mind, personal mind, very positive ones. What are you, when you look at the upcoming year, what are the main worries or the main hopes you're having as a member of the European Parliament?
My main hope is that we are able to continue walking in the right direction. I think we made the general right decisions during the last 5 years as Europe, with a new socioeconomic approach, more social sensitive, with a strong green agenda, and also reinforcing our security and strategic thinking, I will say. And this is what we have to continue to do, trying to help workers, citizens, in a really complicated international scenario. My main worry will be one of the reactions, public reactions, to this complicated international scenario. It's being nationalism, it's being reactionary right-wing waves in national elections. And to be honest, we are seeing a new cooperation between traditional right-wing parties and far-right parties and options. We saw in some national elections cooperation between these two political actors, and I have concerns about these legitimate concerns. Historically, we decided that the far right doesn't play an important role in Brussels. And all the big political actors and parties, we have a responsibility on that. And this is now a question mark open for the next elections. And for this reason, the European elections of 2024 will be extremely important to our citizens and the future of Europe.
So Lopez, many thanks for your commitment, also in your work and the cooperation, the successful cooperation of these past years. We had all the best to you in this coming year, and of course for the upcoming elections 2024. And I'm sure we'll meet again before that.
Thank you very much.